Hey y'all! So I'm here with a contest prep series. I did this last year actually leading up to my pro debut, and it wasn't so much just prep, it was prep plus kind of other stuff. And if you're interested, I covered a lot of topics. So I think that'd be good to watch. They were super, like my very first video was like literally using my phone, which was a worse phone than this, and just sitting it and then just talking. And like, I didn't even know how to edit that. So I would, Lane always used to make fun of me. I would like press play and then like start talking. Oh my God, it was really bad. But the content is good. And towards the end, it's a little bit slower, as I'm sure these will get to. But for now, I have a lot of energy, sort of, or I do right now. So I wanted to go over, today marks, what is today, Tuesday? Yes, so it is 5 full weeks of dieting. I started 5 weeks ago on a Monday. So 5 full weeks of dieting, and I wanted to kind of go over just the general layout of how we're doing things right now, and kind of how I'm progressing. I try to keep everyone super up to date with my Instagram posts and on Snapchat too, with how I've been tracking things, but I wanted to go over more details here and give you the broader picture. All right, so I wanted to first talk about, this is the first year that I am tracking like everything. And I actually got these ideas from Eric Helms when we were in Australia, and I had thought about it, but it's something that I just didn't really do, and that's weighing myself every day. And now I actually ask my clients to do that too. If they're not competing, a few times a week is very sufficient, but if you're competing, I highly recommend trying this. So one, the first thing when he told me this, I was like immediately like, no, I can't do that. That's gonna make me crazy. And then he's like, well, why? And I was like, I don't know. And a lot of girls feel like that. A lot of my clients feel like that. Now, everyone's at different stages, of course. So if you're super uncomfortable with this, then you don't do it. But eventually try it. Do once a week, and then maybe do a few times a week, and then eventually you can move on to this. And again, this is a contest prep thing. This is already extreme. I'm dieting to get on stage. I would not recommend this in the off season. If you're weighing yourself every day, that you don't need to be doing that. But here's the thing. If you are working with a coach, if you do have an active goal, I do think it's important to weigh yourself at least several times a week if you're tracking progress. Why? Because one time point is not enough to get the whole week in. So if I weigh myself, which I would used to do once or twice a week, and then I'd get a lot of anxiety over the weigh-in, because I'd be like, oh, I gotta weigh in. Hopefully I weigh in better, and then you're like, start like, oh, well, I gotta weigh in tomorrow, so maybe I'll just move around more. And you all have done this, so don't look at me like I'm crazy. Or maybe I am, but I definitely think other people do that. And I would get a lot of anxiety with it, and then the number meant a lot more. Whereas now I was like, you know what, I'm gonna track everything so I can see, instead of just one snapshot in time, I can see the whole week and the full picture. And it's made an enormous difference in my psyche about it. I used to really get hung up with the weigh-ins, and now I understand, and I knew that there would be fluctuations, right? It's not like I didn't understand this, but now it's forcing me to accept the fluctuations. And I'm starting to see patterns, and it's super normal to have ups and downs. And then when you do track things as diligently, as we do, like daily weigh-ins, I also track my daily, obviously, macros. You get to kind of see, did something happen? Why is this being affected? Or maybe it's just a random fluctuation. There's so many things that are involved in weight. That's why it's only one measurement tool. But I do think it's important to try, if you are doing a contest prep, to do it every day. Again, totally freaks you out. I would try a few times per week and then eventually up the frequency. And I think that you'll be very surprised, very pleasantly surprised at how much it actually takes that anxiety of the scale away. So if we're talking weight, if you've seen my Instagram post again, or some of my Snapchats, you will see I talk very openly about this. But if you haven't, or you missed it, I started prep at 157. Now, I have never weighed 157 pounds in my entire life. Now, am I a little bit heavier than I have been previously? Yes. I mean, of course I'm heavier. I just said I haven't weighed this much. But heavier meaning, do I look heavier? Do I look like I gained more weight? Yes. But I honestly was, for a while, I was like, my scale's broke. There's no way. Because I was maintaining my weight at about 149, 150 for months. Just months. And then I did everything. I had the breast dog, I wasn't really training as much, and then I went to Australia. I mean, like literally I was eating whatever I wanted, and I was 149, 150, and I figured, okay, I had a few weeks of training that I could do before prep started. So I honestly thought, I was like, oh, I'm gonna get down to probably like 145, just add a little bit of cardio, add a little bit of training, just kind of get used to it, and then I'll just boom, right back, you know, and then I'll have about 20-ish pounds to lose. No, to my surprise, I ended up weighing a lot more, and I gained a bunch of weight from training again. And you know, I don't know, I thought the scale was broken. It's not, because Ryan weighs himself on it and he's a very normal, his normal weight. So really weird, but that's what I started at, right? So from the first week, I will say, so I do the daily weigh-ins, and Monday through Friday I have my normal days, and then Saturday and Sunday I have 2 consecutive refeeds. Something that I've implemented again this time. Thank you, Eric, for the tips. And I've tried it a little bit before and I actually really liked it, but I wasn't really in the habit of it, so I kind of was like, oh, I'll just go back to what I've been doing. But I did experiment with this a little bit in my last prep, and I really liked it, so I was like, you know, I'm just gonna start with this, and I love it. It's the best thing, and I recommend it to all my clients, and they seem to like it too. Now, if something comes up and, you know, there's a big event on Thursday and I know that I have to eat more, then, you know, I'd rather make that a refeed, right? But at this point, it's really easy for me to make adjustments wherever I go, and I have no problem eating chicken, steak, fish, and vegetables if I need to be somewhere, right? So to me, it's not a big deal, and I'd rather have my refeeds consecutive, but if all hell breaks loose and for whatever reason you have to break that, then just have it on the day that you need to and move on with your life. So I started at 157 that week. My lowest weight, woke up on Saturday morning, it's usually my lowest weight, 154.8. Then I had the 2 refeeds, and then I went up to 155.4 on that Monday. So every weigh-in, every time I do those pictures, it's usually on a Monday. So I've had the 2 refeeds. Sometimes I take pictures, other times too, but at this point, the refeeds, what I found over time is that refeeds when you aren't lean don't really make as much of a difference. You'll generally see, okay, I feel a little bit, you know, hungrier, a little bit flatter, and then, you know, you have the refeed, you feel a little bit better, you feel a little bit tighter, your weight will go up because you've had more food, and that's really kind of normal for me. When I get leaner is when it gets interesting. Sometimes I'll even drop weight after a refeed, so it really just depends. But for now, the normal response is I look a little bit flatter going into it, but again, I have so much to lose that it's not really like, oh, I'm just so depleted. I just look a little bit tighter, a little bit flatter, and then I usually look a little bit fuller on Monday, and I'm usually up. It depends, but the max has been like 3 pounds, but that was like a weird time going into it. But usually like 2 pounds is kind of my normal post 2 refeeds. Again, why it's really important to weigh yourself frequently is if I only weighed myself, you know, on that Monday, I'd probably freak out every week, like, oh my God, I haven't made any progress. And of course, it's all the net stuff. You have to look at it as a net value, but in general, it's really important because that exact week I went from 155.4, the next day I was 154. So generally, I'll drop after the 2 refeed days, normal for me. I also started out prep, my waist was 27.75. So I have a very wide waist. Even when I'm really lean, the tiniest it gets is about 24.75, like right under 25. And I just twist well, and I kind of know how to work the angles, and I have semi-broad shoulders, and I think I have some some kind of glutes. So you know, my waist really isn't that tiny. So I know a lot of girls who start their prep basically where I end up, and I'm like, oh my God, I don't know how you do that. But so I've been measuring waist, also measuring the widest part of the glutes, and then the glute fold, what I'm calling. So think about the tie-in area, like literally right under where your glutes end, and then the kind of hamstring starts. So the glute fold, tie-in, whatever you want to call it. I'm measuring those twice a week right now, Monday and Thursday. So again, you get a kind of a full picture. That changes way less than weight, so I'm not really freaking out like, oh my God, I gotta do it. So that's a little excessive to do that every day. I also track my numbers in here. If everyone knows, you see I either hand track, because I'm just really old school, or I use my Macros Plus, the app. I really like it as far as user friendliness versus my FitnessPal, but use whatever you like. So sometimes I'll use that, but for the most part right now I'm using hand tracking. It's just kind of something that I like to do, but then I transfer everything right here. So I get to kind of see, you know, my targets, how close I am, plus or minus. Plus or minus 5 is considered, you know, adherence, right? And every day isn't gonna be exactly on the dot. It probably shouldn't be, unless you have set up like a meal plan or something for your week, which I know people who do that who think it's a lot easier. I've also been tracking, let me pull up the app so you can see it. It's HRV for training. So this, we get it? Yeah, this app. And Ryan suggested it to me, our friend Danny Bove, shout out to the Strength Cave. He was big on it, and it basically, it's really cool. You wake up and you put your finger here, and it measures your heart rate and your heart rate variability. And I'm tracking that. Again, I wanna just track everything I can. So I've been looking at that too to see how my heart rate trends and see how my heart rate variability also goes. I also keep in here, you know, training yes or no, cardio yes or no, and then the total minutes. Interesting, what we're doing with cardio this time is normally I immediately start out with HIIT. And I have mixed feelings about that, and I used to be way more you have to do HIIT or very pro HIIT than I am now. I'm still love HIIT, but for me what I found is that it takes away from my training, right? So if I started out with it, it was very challenging, and you can watch my video. Again, still don't know how to implement, like, if people have it, where's my hand? And it like says, it pops up right here, like, watch this now. Watch this now. It's my Physique Athlete FAQ series. There's a whole video on cardio. So right now, and you can hear what I have to say about all that, but right now I'm just doing moderate intensity, and the plan that me and Ryan have is to do that actually up until the first 8 weeks of prep. After that, we will reassess and most likely need to add HIIT in. But for the most part, what I started doing was week 1 was 60 minutes, week 2 was 70, week 3 was 80, and then I dropped it back down actually to 60 on the 4th week. And why I do that is I'm having 3 hard training weeks and then 1 deload week. And deload, not necessarily an actual deload, but a deload from the compound lifts. I'll typically do 3x5 at 60% for squat, deadlift, and an overhead press. And everything else is strictly bodybuilding, tons of volume, just kind of, you know, good work, but not as much of the heavy compound stuff. So I'm doing that, and I liked that. We did it for the first 4 weeks, and then we're also gonna repeat that. So I'm on week 5 now, and the plan is to do 90 minutes, and then I'll do 105, then I'll do 120, and then that'll be the 3-week cycle, and then the 1-week deload, so then I'll go back to 90 at 8 weeks. And then I'll reassess. I'll probably make a video probably around then too. I should have made this at week 4, but it just completely slipped my mind, and I've been really busy, so my OCD is kicking in. I like to do things on the same, so like if I do it on 5, now I'm gonna wanna do it on week 10, because I'm crazy, but I think every month would be a good, a good thing. So pretend that this is the first month video. So those are all the things that I'm tracking. And you probably noticed that I didn't say what my numbers were, and that is because I get a lot of, it doesn't seem to help people. I get really hung up on what I'm doing, and that's not really accurate. I told you the cardio, which is already a lot, because that's very different for everyone. Not everyone can do this much or this little. I mean, it just depends. So completely training dependent, completely physique dependent, but the macros, it gets really weird when people start asking what it is, and then if I say what it is and people freak out about it, if I don't, then they freak. So it's just like, not gonna talk about my numbers. I post enough food, you guys probably like put it together, kind of an idea of what I eat. But I will say that for the first 5 weeks, we actually did not drop anything, which was very surprising for me, because I usually always have to drop. I mean, it differs, but usually every 2 to 3 weeks, I have to make an adjustment. And it's not a good or a bad thing, it's just kind of what it is. And I was just cruising right along, and I totally got off topic. I started with the weights and everything. So started the first part, 157, lowest weight was 154.8. And then I woke up after the 2 refeeds on that Monday at 155.4. My lowest for that week actually was on a Friday, not on a Saturday, but the lowest was 153.2. And then the beginning of week 3, so 2 full weeks of the diet, I was up to 154.6. And the lowest there was 153.2, so you can see not really super drastic, but I am continually making changes. And then enter week 4, which was crazy because I had the ISSN conference. Also, see video ISSN conference. See that video because I put a ton of time into editing all that. Oh my gosh, it was the hardest thing I've ever done for editing wise. So definitely go watch that. I thought it was really cool. I took pictures and I put like music to everything. Yeah, anyway, so I was at the conference and it was 3 days and I was super busy during the conference because I did, if you watch the video, you'll know. But I moderated different sessions. I was running around. I didn't realize how many people I was gonna know. I knew a ton of people running around trying to talk to everyone. I was part of the data blitz. I had my poster. I was trying to film everything, so it was really busy. And me and Danielle were actually driving back and forth, getting up really early, not sleeping about 5 hours a night just because I had to work also. So my weight was super weird, and I also went out to eat. I brought all my food minus dinner for Friday and Saturday night. So we went out to eat, and I ordered. When I went out, I usually will eat out about once a week on prep. I don't like to eat out too much while I'm on prep, but sometimes it usually end up being once a week because I try not to completely restrict myself, but I don't go out of my way to eat on prep. I've done this enough that I kind of know how to order things, know what to do, but for people who are starting out, I would highly suggest probably not going out as much as I said that I do. But for here, it was a perfect example. This came up, you know, I was interacting with people, meeting friends, seeing things. Didn't really want to miss out on that. So when I went out both times, I ordered fish and vegetables and or just like a green salad. I think I ordered vegetables and a salad and then rice. So easy things to track. I do not look things up on any device. I don't look up the nutrition facts online. That stuff's normally fucking garbage. You're gonna do a better job estimating by looking at it, right? So for me, I order stuff that's single ingredient, really easy, and I overestimate it by a lot. And I must have, either from all the activity or just overestimating, I dropped a lot that week, and I think it was just a culmination of everything. And then Sunday I actually woke up, so it was after a refeed day, but the 3 days of the conference, really busy, lack of sleep. I slept a ton that night after the conference, and so I think I woke up pretty dehydrated also, but I woke up at 149.8. I'm like, oh man, whew, new low, killing it, right? Then I wake up the next day at 152.8, so 3 pounds, right? Which is kind of a lot from one day of just, you know, back to normal, but I think, it was very low, it was hyper low. I don't know if that sounded right, whatever. It was extra low because of the conference and the overestimating and the running around and not sleeping and probably being dehydrated, you know, during that weigh-in. So again, really important to kind of track things. Going into this week, I felt a little bit like, should we change it? Should we not? But I was so low that last week, so Elaine's like, let's just stay here. So we did, and I didn't have a terrible week, but I didn't necessarily get any lighter weight-wise. My weight ended the lowest at 150.2, which was very similar to the week before, but again, hyper low, I think, because of everything going on. And then I woke up after my 2 refeeds at 151.2, and then here we are this morning. I'm at 150.4. So I always drop usually after the refeed day, like after the 2 refeeds. So usually on Tuesday morning is when I'll be lower. So that's where we're at. We made an adjustment yesterday. So yesterday was the first day on my new macros. We only adjusted my low days and not my refeed days because I try to keep those where they're at for a while. And then obviously you have to eat into those at some point. But I try to keep them actual refeed days instead of continually cut them. That's changed over time too. It's all about learning. It's all about experimenting. And if I did things the same way that I did always, then you wouldn't be growing as a coach and as an athlete. I did my measurements on Monday. So after 5 full weeks of dieting, my waist has gone down a full inch. Yay! 26.75. My glutes are down 0.75, but of course, I mean, it's not just your glutes, it's your glutes and your thighs because everything's, wrapping around. So that's down, of course. I ripped a pair of pants at the conference, so I guess my butt's not too small, not too small yet, or I'm just not a size 2 yet, clearly. And then the glute fold actually went down 1.5 inches, which is really exciting because that's like that area where you're just like, oh, come on, get off of here. So again, though there's nothing that I'm comparing this to, I'm just comparing it to me and me only. So I'm really happy that it's gone down that much. And those are just extra measurements. I will say that even though I started at 157 and I was 150.4, I think. I already exited out of it, I don't even know. Regardless, I lost about 6 or 7 pounds. And I've never looked this tight at this weight. Again, haven't really been this weight. And this was the weight that I was previously at that I had just been maintaining for months. And I think I look so much different. I wish I would have taken more pictures or stuff. Of course, you always look back on that, right? Which is why I'm trying to document everything here, because I'm like, oh, I gotta make sure I know everything. Just for future stuff too, it's good. And if we publish this, I have to have everything, right? But anyways, so I've never felt this tight, this heavy, and even though it's only 6 or 7 pounds, it really does look like a lot more. So maybe all the training is finally sticking. Like, you know, I've been training for years, and it just, every time I diet, it just seems to like fall off all my muscles. So maybe that's what it is. I'm not really sure. Obviously, I'm not saying that I lost 6 or 7 pounds and I'm 150 pounds and look stage lean. Clearly, like, not even close, right? But I do feel objectively tighter at this weight, and several people have said that too. So I'm just rolling with it. We do need to have, you know, a lot more to lose. I'm not saying what shows I'm doing because it's very variable. It's gonna be based on how I'm ready, but it's gonna be the late shows, the late pro shows of the year. So just stay tuned for that, and I probably won't make an announcement or a final decision. Actually, it's not even like an announcement, it's just making the decision till a few more weeks. So thank you guys for watching. This is my 5-week prep update. 5 weeks in 1 day. You can follow along there. For more weekly updates, I try to do at least once a week update on how prep is going. And I'm gonna try to do these videos every 4 weeks or so. So thank you for tuning in. Like and subscribe if you like this content. Thanks, y'all.
I'm feeling like love.